Hello, I'm Ethan Stetson, and I'm with the Cisco Catalyst Center TAC team. In this video, we'll go over how to unlock or reset the Cisco Catalyst Center's Maglev password. For this demonstration, our Cisco Catalyst Center hardware appliance is running 2374. The steps shouldn't change between hardware appliance versions, but there are some differences in the virtual appliance, which we won't be covering in this video. We start by downloading the Ubuntu Desktop ISO version 18.04.6. This is the recommended ISO, as it's the same that Cisco Catalyst Center is running. Next, we log into the Cisco IMC GUI and click on the Launch KVM. We'll be using the HTML-based KVM. We'll have to allow pop-ups for this site, and then we'll have the option to load the KVM client application. Once the KVM window appears, we're going to click Virtual Media, followed by Activate Virtual Devices. Select Virtual Media again, and this time choose Map CD DVD option. We'll browse to our local file system and select our Ubuntu 18.04.6 ISO. Once this is selected, we can restart our appliance by clicking Power and Reset System, Warm Boot. Once the Cisco logo appears for the second time, we'll need to use the onboard keyboard to click F6 and enter the boot menu. We can access the onboard keyboard by clicking View and then Keyboard. When the Cisco logo appears, please press the F6 key on the onboard keyboard to enter the boot menu. It may look like it didn't work as it proceeds to a screen that looks similar to this one, but a second Cisco screen will appear and we can see that it's entering the boot menu. If we forgot to press F6 on the first Cisco screen, we can click it here. Next, we're presented with a screen to choose our boot device. We choose the Cisco Virtual KVM Mapped Virtual DVD 1.24 option as it's seen here. Now we boot from the Ubuntu 18.04.6 ISO that we mounted. Please note that boot times may vary from one environment to the next. Load time is based on the connection between the host PC with the Ubuntu ISO and the location of the Cisco IMC server. If there's a great distance, latency issues, or low bandwidth between the two, load times could be longer. In some cases, we've seen it take over an hour for the Ubuntu ISO to load. In this video, we'll cover each screen we encountered and how long it stayed there, but times may vary for you. This is the first screen we're presented with, and it may not look like anything's happening, but just wait. We were here for 40 seconds. Next, the screen turned completely black for about 30 seconds before we were presented with an Ubuntu loading screen. We were on the screen for a little over 5 minutes, but again, it may vary from environment to environment. Next, we're presented with a screen that may look like something went wrong, but don't worry, this is expected. The screen stayed up for about 1 minute and 30 seconds. And then the screen went back to black for about 3 minutes. The error screen flashed for a few seconds and then returned to a black screen for another 2 minutes. We're presented with the option to select a live session user. If we're presented with the option Try Ubuntu Desktop, choose that option. We're going to select this user and continue. Once we select the user, the screen goes black again before we're presented with the Ubuntu Desktop. Click on the 3x3 square at the bottom left of the screen to open up our applications. Search for the terminal to open a terminal session. Once we have a terminal open, we'll create a temporary mount point with the following command: sudo mkdir /alt-sys. Next, we need to find the root and var partitions to mount. We can use the lsblk --fm command to find the mount for the slash or the root and /var. Make note of the partition we've identified for the mount commands in the next step. For the var, look for a 9.5 gig or 168 gig partition. In this case, we can see it's SDB3. For the root, look for the 28.66 gig or 47.7 gig partition. In this example, it's SDA2. In some cases, neither of these values will match, but we can identify it with the install1 label attached to the partition. Once we've identified the var and root partitions, mount the root directory with the sudo mount /dev/sda2 /alt-sys and the var directory with sudo mount /dev/sdb3 /alt-sys/var. Ensure to choose the correct partition from the previous step. Once the root and var are mounted, we mount the sudo file systems with the following 3 sudo mount --bind commands. And the last step before changing the password or unlocking our Maglev account is to change the temporary mount environment with the command sudo chroot /alt-sys. To check if a Maglev user is locked, we can issue the command grep maglev/etc/shadow. If the hash begins with an exclamation mark, the account is locked and needs to be unlocked. In this example, there is no exclamation mark, so the account does not need to be unlocked. If the account is locked, we can unlock it with the usermod --U maglev command. Next, we need to reset the failed count. We can check the number of failures with the sudo pam_tally2-u maglev command. If the login attempts are larger than the default of 6, we're denied the ability to log in until the failure account drops to less than 6. In this example, the failure count is 0, but if it's above 6, we can reset it with the command sudo pam_tally2-r-u maglev. After all of this, if we wish to reset the maglev password, we can do so with the passwd maglev command. We're prompted to enter the Unix password and then retype the password. Now that we've reset the maglev password, we also need to enter the same password in the configuration wizard. This step is required to ensure the change takes effect across the whole system. To start, click on the Power and System Reset Warm Boot option. It took about 4 minutes in this case to be presented with a login screen. Once we log into the Cisco Catalyst Center CLI, type the sudo maglev-config update command to enter the configuration wizard. We can proceed through each screen until we get to step 6. Once we get to step 6, we re-enter the maglev password and we can proceed to allow the Cisco Catalyst Center to update the node. In this example, it took 12 minutes for the node updater to run, but the time may vary from deployment to deployment. Also, please be aware that once we return to the CLI, it may take additional time for all additional services to be fully up and running. In this video, we demonstrated how to unlock and reset the maglev password of the Cisco Catalyst Center. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you next time.